There's no intro to the show.
Nope, don't have one. Don't look for it here. You won't find it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You know, I have a terrible chair.
I know.
And I've had a success. Maybe I need to lose weight. I mean, that's probably definitely in the cards, in the offing. But I need to. This chair is off-putting, and I need to be off-putting. But the thing is, it's not. They always say, like, what are you going to do especially if you do stuff like this? You're going to spend most of your time on your butt. So spend the money on a chair.
Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll ask for a chair for Christmas. But the chair that I have, I bought like a 5-year insurance plan on. Mm-hmm. And 9 months in, not even 9, and this has been a tough year, kaput. I got this chair in the opening days of the pandemic. Like, masks were going on, but it was before things started to, like, shut down.
Yes, it was right before.
Although I'm sure Staples is considered essential, and I remember buying it right then, and it's already fallen apart. In fact, I've been using it broken for months already. And the reason that this is interesting, arguably, is because I just don't have... I know what a pain in the keister the chair has been, and I know what a pain in the butt it's going to be to get them to...
replace it?
To honor this insurance thing, because there's no fixing it. It's just going to be a new chair. That's where we're at, right?
Yeah, here's my concern.
Oh, I guess I was done.
Oh, no, not necessarily, but I'm sharing my concern, and you can continue. What if it's just a crappy chair? And
it's a terrible chair.
And they just give you a new... crappy chair that will break.
And in 6 months, I'll be talking to them again.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. So I haven't even started the process. I'm just, this is how low my self-esteem is. This is how much my time is worth. I'm just using this crappy chair at an angle so it won't collapse instead of calling these guys because it's just going to be, it's terrible.
Just do it. Just do it.
I know, but I got to cut out a whole, you know what I was going to do tomorrow? Tomorrow is Saturday.
Yes.
I was going to put all of our COVideo backlog of shows on our new COVideo account, so it will be finally a separate show. I need to cut out an entire day because that's how my podcasting hosting service works.
Yeah.
Not great for some things, not great for transfers, and so I don't know, maybe I can do that while I'm on hold with whatever Taiwanese company I've got to talk to get this chair replaced.
Yeah. Especially, I gotta say, I was a slow convert to the wireless headphones, and mine even technically have a wire, but they're not like connected to the
I almost
device.
bought you a pair.
Did you?
Yeah. Because the pair that I have is not, I mean, they're kind of like iPod ripoffs. And they're not, I wouldn't say they're super great quality, but they work. They sound good, and they work. And I've had very little problem with them, although I think they might be losing charge. I feel like they don't last as long as they used to. But then again, I'm using them almost all day, and you can't expect all that much, I guess, from sub iPad pod thing ear guy.
Yes,
oh no,
right.
She's got iPods in, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
But they were down to $30 because of some kind of deal. Not a good sign they're giving something away. Like they're basically giving away the PS4 version of Cyberpunk because apparently it doesn't work at all.
Right.
And it's broke ass.
Right.
So I didn't buy it. But I was going to buy just 2 sets of them, a spare one for me and one for you. But then I thought, oh no, she's got like things and she's pretty happy with them.
I like them. And the reason I'm hesitant to get...
They're wireless, but they've got the cord, right?
Yes.
That goes behind,
Yeah. And the reason why I went with that, and they also have the thing that goes over the ear, because my ears are so... I feel like my ears are weird. Or they're just like small. Let me just put it to you this way. The cheap headphones that come with your Apple products
used to. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, right. Only one of them stuck in my ear and stayed in. So I was like, I don't know if I get wireless headphones that like don't have anything that goes over the ear and then don't have the thing around the neck, are they just going to fall out of my ear? Am I going to lose a headphone?
You're stuck. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want that.
Well, you know what they say about girls with small ears? They need special headphones.
Yeah.
And so that's the situation you find yourself in.
They have to strain to listen. I don't know.
Let's not push it too far. They need special Q-tips.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about movies, and you won the toss. You're going first. We're talking about your film, which is
12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1995's 12 Monkeys, a Terry Gilliam film.
Yes.
Do we do the Terry Gilliam talk? Do we bother?
I say go for it. I don't really know. I think you better lead on this one.
Well, there's two talks to have. One is, oh wow, a baby boomer, an old baby boomer from conservative Britain, although he's not conservative, but he can't see the difference between these two things, said some dumb things about trans people or whatever. And so, sorry, that was John Cleese.
That was John Cleese, I was going to say.
Cancel culture. A famous person sees other people getting canceled, and he's afraid he's going to get canceled, even though he's devoted his entire life and career to subversion, and for some reason he's worried about getting canceled. That's the first talk. My talk is, gosh, this guy hasn't had a fastball in 30 years. That's what I wanted to say.
Wow, okay.
Did you see the Dr. Parnassus? The Imagitorium of Dr. Parnassus?
I think I saw that with you.
Yeah. No, you didn't, because I had to remind you the other day that it was like Heath Ledger, they replaced him with 3 other people because he died while they were shooting it. That, like a lot of Terry Gilliam's films, it's kind of a mess to put together.
Yeah. Well, I thought I saw it with you. Like, maybe not like when it came out in theaters, but I thought I watched it with you at some point.
I wanted to make a comment before. Actually, I'm going to give you the recap, I guess. But I wanted to comment that this is one of 2 zoo films. And remind me to... I'll just tell you right now. This is, of course, involves animals.
Yeah.
And they get off a bus, and there's an ad for a zoo because they're near the zoo. Because it ends at a zoo.
Yes.
Well, it almost ends at a zoo.
Yes.
And then in my movie, the character stays at the Berlin Am Zoo, very famous hotel in Berlin.
Zoo mean zoo
it's near the
German?
zoo. It's near the zoo.
Okay.
The Berlin Zoo. It's a famous zoo.
So I was just making sure that it meant the same thing.
There's not a lot of things that could mean.
I don't know. It's another language.
Zoo station. That's what do you think that is? That's U2, right? They're always singing about Berlin.
Okay. I believe you.
Wow, give me one more chance. Let me give the recap tonight.
I'm not a huge U2 fan, so...
Well, we'll talk more about Gilliam's, I guess, later. But first, I'll talk about the plot to 12 Monkeys. Oh boy, I think Shorter's going to be better on this one. Bruce Willis lives in a future dystopia where everyone lives underground and some kind of disease has decimated the populace. The scientists who basically rule the place send him back in time to get information about the pandemic and what happened, and all we know is that we hear mysterious the track of history has been lost, and we're not sure what happened, but we know that somehow the 12 monkeys are involved. And so over the course of 3 different trips back to the past, he tries to ingratiate himself into the past, learn more about the 12 monkeys, and in a lot of ways, in a classic sort of predestination situation, perhaps he becomes entangled in the events that he is trying to prevent.
Yes.
That is the back of the box and a sexy love romance where you rip your teeth out. Like, let's get people in the door.
Yeah.
Now they're in. That's not what it's about. It's going to be about a lot of other stuff. Yeah. Strap in. Doors are locked.
Yeah.
It's also maybe about filmmaking and storytelling, too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because Christopher Nolan had to get a boner in college when he saw this. This movie, before you start,
yes,
because I know there's a lot.
This
movie is based on a film called La Jetée.
It sounds French.
It is French.
Okay.
It's from 1962. It's a short experimental film. And when I say film, I mean, oh boy, leave it to the French. It's a succession of still images, predominantly. It's only about 28 minutes long, and it's basically dialogue over still images.
All right, so technically a film.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But they are just still images, like photographs.
Right.
And it's great. And it's short, and you should commit to a half an hour of watching it if you get a chance.
Okay.
And it is a little different than this. This is definitely more depressing. And as a Terry Gilliam film, it's got little Gilliam moments, but basically this is like Brazil, but not funny. Like, this is like Terry Gilliam, but no humor.
Yeah, which honestly, that's...
Well, it he accomplishes what he wanted to do, which is do me, but not funny, and it's not funny.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's one of the things that makes Brazil such a film that really sticks out and that you remember.
Or Time Bandits or anything. Right. Jabberwocky, is just all that sort of thing.
I don't think I've seen Jabberwocky.
It's very early.
But... you got this juxtaposition of this horrible, bleak world, and then these
but even
moments.
And it's kind of the point. We'll get to that. But even like the present day sucks. So
yeah.
But we'll talk about that now. Go.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, I guess the first thing that I'll tackle. I'm always kind of curious to see how mental health is handled or portrayed in film and TV. Some films and TV shows I think do it well, but I think that they're few and far between. I don't know. I mean, it's a movie, right? So suspension of disbelief, like the place
it's taking itself very seriously, and. And what you're trying to get at, and you haven't said yet, is that the depiction of the mental health care system.
Yes,
you could call this a commentary. You could call this criticism of the mental health system,
right?
But it is basically a circus. It is a It is. Let me describe something for you: a mental health or a psych ward, a mental health, a cuckoo hatch or whatever, in a Terry Gilliam film. You already see it in your head, and that's exactly what we get in this. This is the most movie. Mental health hospital or mental hospital of all time, in a movie.
Everyone is having their own stereotypical,
they're all wearing tutus,
like mental breakdown,
right? And they're all like writing on the walls, and they're all
And like Brad Pitt is at 11.
Well, Brad Pitt has a whole speech about because his whole character arc is about the system, and we're going to fight against the power or whatever,
right?
And that evolves as the movie goes on, and as he interacts with Bruce Willis's character,
yes,
because he's pretty harmless at the beginning,
yes.
But he's got his whole speech about how you can't have a phone call. What are you talking about? It's spread transmission. People talk outside. It's going to spread a plague of madness. That whole thing.
Yeah.
I grew up at a weird time. This movie came at a weird time because I was in college studying theater when this movie came out.
Yeah.
I went to school in Springfield, Missouri, Brad Pitt's hometown.
Yes.
And so I think he came to the premiere.
That's weird.
Well, they did a little mini premiere in Springfield.
Sure.
And he came to it. And I remember Brad Pitt in the 90s.
Big deal.
And as a young actor, we all tried to model ourselves after Brad Pitt. And so there were stories about how he had himself checked into a psychiatric ward. And they didn't tell the doctors, and then after 2 weeks or whatever, I'm sure it's probably a couple days if that happened at all.
I wonder if it actually happened.
He fooled a doctor into thinking that he was really insane or whatever. Watching this movie now in 2020, it's like I don't think that's true because this is the biggest. They would just go, "Excellent, Mr. Pitt. I loved you in Legends of the Fall," right? Like it's It's a big performance.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's not.
You know who's really creepy?
No subtlety or anything.
The guy in the tuxedo. The guy in the tuxedo is really creepy.
With the bunny slippers?
Yeah, that's a kind of madness that enthralls me, where he's explaining, like, I know this is a delusion, and if I can let go of this delusion, I'll be free. What's your delusion? He's got bunny slippers on. That's a good moment.
That was a good moment, but I was like, why would they let him wear a tux? And I was like, it's a movie.
Terry
Gilliam,
a movie. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
I also thought, I don't know, like, they had all of the patients sleeping in the same giant room together.
It's medieval. Yeah, it's not.
It's like
I don't know
what curtains. Like
I don't know what it's like in the great state of Pennsylvania, but
right.
I doubt it's medieval.
I just don't think that they that's a very realistic thing.
No.
But yeah,
a lot of fluorescent lighting.
A lot of fluorescent lighting.
No, there would be.
Oh, yes.
There was a lot of natural lighting because they were in an abandoned, shirtwaist factory or something like that.
I know, which is also like they wouldn't have a mental institution there. But anyways, Terry Gilliam found. And the actress who's a psychologist,
the late great Madeline Stowe, and she's not dead. But her career is because Hollywood.
What happened?
It just doesn't have anything for women.
I thought she was actually pretty
over 40.
Decent in
like
this.
she had a big 90s as well, and she's great, and she was great in this, and yeah.
So I don't know what happened. And
I mean, Bruce Willis is basically gets the go ahead to just you just act like a nut the whole time. People aren't used to watching Bruce Willis drool, and this is a very
much drooling.
This is a drooly movie. This is a wet movie.
It is.
And so he does fine with that. Like, this is also like, this is the experimental part. He's already a locked-in star at this point. He's off TV.
Right.
And so he's just trying stuff out. And actually, I remember reading an article near when this came out where Gilliam told him, he's like, I wouldn't have cast you normally. This would be a Jonathan Pryce thing normally, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it wouldn't be a Bruce Willis thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, obviously, I'm happy to have you. I think you're talented. But I don't want any of the stuff. Don't give me the Die Hard stuff.
Sure.
Don't give me that thing, where you look into the steely-eyed look into the camera with the baby blues. I don't want any of that, Let's be vulnerable.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So he just gets to act like a nut the whole movie, but she has to act like a person just living her life and then go crazy as the movie goes on. And I think she does a really good job with that.
I think they both... I thought that their relationship and how it developed, I thought that was honestly one of the most interesting parts of the film because she starts off like, I'm a psychologist. I understand mental illness. This is what it is. This is what's happening with you. And then she slowly...
she has the whole theory about the Cassandra complex.
Yes.
And she's based her work off of...
Jose.
Well, she's based her work off of the people that we meet in the film. Bruce
Yes.
Willis, Jose. There's a guy that she references in the 1300s or whatever that seems like he was one of these guys.
I missed that.
And then I think they kind of match that with the street preacher near the end that we see, who he could just be a street preacher, or he could be a guy that like went rogue from being a time traveler, and now he's trying to wake everybody up, sheeple, to what's going to happen in the future. But
Yeah, and I also thought it was interesting too how like at the beginning, like Bruce Willis is like so sure of his identity.
He's a spider.
God,
he's on mission.
It's weird.
He's on mission.
Did he really eat a spider for this?
No, it was a bad sleight of hand.
Oh, okay. But like he knows who he is. He knows where he's from. He knows what his mission is, right?
Yeah.
And then like they talk about how time travel messes with your head.
Yeah.
But so there's that little touch, but also, her not believing in him and questioning him, he starts to question himself too, and he starts to question what's real and what's not.
Yeah, and
he actually starts to think, no, I am crazy.
In a real world scenario, explaining the fact that you've traveled through time sounds crazy.
It does.
All he's doing is
I thought that was really interesting.
When he's in front of the panel and there's a lot, we should just mention all the parallels in the film.
Yeah.
He's a lot of Bruce Willis's ass in this film, sparkling. It's sparkling. They wash it very well, but he's being disinfected in the future. He's being washed, when he's being taken into the mental hospital. Yes. Also, they would just turn a hose on you, but medieval, like I said.
Yeah.
And there's the panel.
And there's like two guys in the mental institution giving him a shower. It's like, okay.
Yeah, there's the panel of... it's not powdered sugar, though, like Super Troopers.
Yeah, right.
It's delicious, sir. There's the panel of scientists in the future. There's the panel of psychiatrists in the thing.
Yes.
And he's just doing something that we've seen every week on Doctor Who, where the doctor whimsically explains, well, this hasn't happened yet, and then you'll be born then, or whatever. But he's just trying to explain this, and it's like, yeah, he sounds nuts. He sounds crazy.
Right. The doctor, at least, he has like these fantastical items, right? Like he has his psychic paper, his sonic screwdriver, his TARDIS, and...
This is not a Doctor Who show.
I know that. I got my Doctor Who mug. But he doesn't have anything. And why would they believe him?
Yeah.
Why would they believe anything that he says?
Yeah. And the number he's got is it's not set up to take the calls.
No.
In 1990.
In 1990.
It'll be set up later.
Yes.
Which is like, presumably they can send people, because they send his friend back right at the end.
Yes.
To give him a gun or whatever.
Yeah.
So they can send people as their time. That's the thing about time travel, is that once you can do time travel, you can. It's the Bill and Ted thing. Like, we can just go back later and give us the keys earlier. It's all open to you.
I love how goofy
so once
Bill and Ted is.
Presumably, like, while they're perfecting their time travel that, whoops, we sent him to the 14th century.
Yeah.
We'll never get him back.
Right.
Or maybe we will. I don't know. You know, as you get better at it, you perfect it, and you can literally just send the guy's friend back 10 minutes before he actually dies, because that's the outcome that you want, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Then once you can do that, then you can just do whatever. So you can send somebody back to be like, oh, yes, Mr. Bell, I think your machine works great. You know, you have all of telephonic history with which to set up, you know, whatever you want, any kind of number with a answering machine tape or whatever, assuming you can recover the tape. So anyway, so back to like Bruce Willis, like he gets more sane in the present, but he's actually sort of getting crazier.
Yes.
And in the future, he gets more capable, but it's only so he can go back to the present. He becomes the man dreaming, the butterfly dreaming that he's a man, because he thinks like, no, the future is crazy. But if in my delusion in this weird future where I've got a shaved head, if I learn all the things and I answer all the stuff, I can, you know, get back to real life.
Right.
Which is the shitty 1995 or 1996.
Right. But at least I can breathe the air.
Yeah, it's a neat,
walk outside.
It's a neat kind of thing that I never really considered, because I only saw this movie once in 1995.
Sure.
And I never watched it again because...
Why do you think you never watched it again?
I never liked it.
Oh, okay.
And even now I don't love it. Having seen it now, it's like... I don't
love it either, but...
Okay, you know what? It's solid, and I think it all works, but it's based on a half an hour movie.
French film, yes.
Which also ends abruptly, but I won't ruin it, but it's got a kind of... Deus Ex Machina kind of end. And instead of that, they go, it's just a bummer ending. And the problem with bummer endings is, you know, it's hard to unless you're going to they make their point, I suppose, about humanity, but, you know, it's hard to have it feel like, oh, okay, I feel satisfied. You will leave unsatisfied. And it's just gross, and, you know, Gilliam really leans into his kind of grimy sort of aesthetic, and just off-putting, and I never really wanted to see it again.
There were a couple of shots of Madeline at the beginning of like the edge of her skirt, like almost like looking up her skirt, and I'm like,
what?
I swear, like it was like, look at her legs, look up her skirt.
I didn't know.
Or the edge of her skirt. You
okay, all right.
There were like a couple of shots, and I was like, okay, we get it, gross old man. Stop doing crap like that.
No, I didn't. I don't think that's what it was. But maybe I was busy looking up her skirt. I don't know.
I don't know. It just seemed like we were taking her all in, this tall drink of water.
Slow down.
Yeah. Anyways.
So let's talk about what it's about.
Yes.
What's it about?
It is about...
Other than careful what hotel you check into in downtown Philadelphia, because a 7-foot-tall pimp will just bust your door down and be like, get off of my territory, bitch.
I know. And like smack you in the face.
The world gets crazier as they get crazier.
Yeah, it's true.
Because now they're like, I have to accept that this is a world where this sort of thing is going to happen. Suddenly, like, at the beginning, they're like in symposiums and they're just talking about, you know,
book signings
and stuff, and then suddenly it's a world where like, yeah, I'll give you a hotel room for 15 minutes, and they're like, bro, get out of here, bitch, and it's just like, whoa,
I know, and we're breaking into...
Are we in the real world still?
I know, and we're breaking into rich guys' dinner parties, where we get chased all over.
Yeah, and Christopher Plummer has the worst Southern accent.
Oh, he's like Colonel Sanders, except
was he just like, can I just do whatever I want? So they're like, sure.
Right?
All right. Sure enough, honey bun. So, yeah, what actually happened? What happened?
So, basically, there was this virus that was... What?
The end. At the end, David Morse gets on the plane.
Oh, okay. What
And
happens
the lady
at the end?
scientist is there, and they made sure it was the lady scientist because she was not just... You would be confused if it was just one of 5 old men that you didn't recognize. It had to be one. Oh, I remember her.
I wasn't sure about that because she says she's in insurance. So is she in insurance? Wink. And she's going to take care of him and make sure that the virus doesn't get out? Or is she in insurance, wink, and making sure that the virus does get out?
That is the question that fandom still has not figured out. Because I've listened to
really a scientist?
Podcasts about... Are you really a scientist?
Because
I've listened to oh boy, don't do that. We should watch that movie for this.
Oh God.
Anyway, because I want to do my Keanu Reeves. It's not Keanu Reeves. It's Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland.
What if it was Keanu Reeves?
Oh my God.
The good scientists. Yeah, I'm thinking they're good. I don't know. I still don't know. I've listened to podcasts and other movie people talk about it, and nobody seems to know. And I don't know. I don't think that Terry Gilliam meant for it to be. I don't think that he doesn't do that. He doesn't leave open-ended things. He does confusing things, but I don't feel like a lot of his movies make you go, huh. Like in Brazil, it's pretty clear. For Brazil to work, it has to be that he's the state, killed you. The state will survive. It will always crush you. And I think that we're looking at that here too, right? It's the system of power that's in place in the future.
Yeah.
Wants the virus to get out because they're in control and they have control, and they manipulate the people by offering them pardons and showing them nice paintings and playing them music when they succeed. But it's no real benefit to them. And apparently if you can't change the future, and they seem to be a little worried about that because they send somebody for insurance, but I think she is there to help propagate the virus. What I don't understand then is that if they're already in control, why are they just making sure that they want to develop a vaccine, but presumably they'll only use it for themselves and the people who are in power, like the controlling class?
That's really weird.
Because otherwise, why are they doing all this crap? Like if they already control the future society, why bother to send people back in time at all?
I don't know, unless they already know that he is important and he's going to be a pivotal part in all
you know
this.
what? No, that's the answer. That's what it is. Although I don't know why they know so much and why they care so much. Because the movie sets it up I think the movie is very much on the side of time travel is, don't bump your mic, time travel is, it's all written. You can't change anything. It's deterministic. The first thing we see is Bruce Willis watch himself die. And so I think we are to assume that's just how it works. But these scientists are mucking around in time. And again, if you're in the past and you take out your tooth tracker, which we never know if there's a tooth tracker or not.
Nope,
so maybe I'm wrong about Terry Gilliam. Maybe there is some play here. But if you do that, they're already in the future. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they went, he just took his tracker. You're not watching somebody from a window. You are in the future. So either you can bring him back or you can't. You know? Can you bring him back from a time before he did? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So anyway.
It's fungible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is that, they are trying to ensure that this happens. That's why they send, I can't remember the character's name, and I want it, Loco. It's all going to sound racist. What was the character's name?
Jose. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just, hey.
Believe
somebody when they tell you who they are.
I'm like 99.9%.
But that's why they send him at the last second to go, here's a gun, go do it.
Right.
After they go, no, it's not. It's the 12 Monkeys was.
It's not
they just let the animals go.
Yeah.
Even though there really is a virus and there is a guy who wants to let it go.
But it's not the 12 Monkeys. Yeah.
Which also seems like a kind of dilution of the theme that it's just bad things are going to happen anyway, and I don't know. But yeah, they definitely knew because they want him to get killed at the airport. Yada yada yada. So. Well, it's deterministic. It's fatalistic.
I want to know: does that guy die? Like he opens the vial for the security. Like, does he know he's going to die?
Well, when you set up a red herring,
okay with that?
When you set up a red herring, or not a red herring, I guess when you have a secret guy that's going to come out and do the plot anyway. Yeah, I mean they seed him a little bit because he talks crazy at the book signing. Yeah. He gets a job or already had a job at the drug company.
Yes.
But then he just kind of comes out at the end. And, I don't think Gilliam, he knew he wasn't fooling anybody with the future visions because it becomes clear at some point, we see that it's Madeline Stowe.
Yes.
The Hawaiian shirt. We can figure out he's going to watch himself get shot, but we don't know the circumstances of what happens. And then they just pull David Morse in. And so I don't know.
Okay.
A couple things.
Yeah.
Is it weird that Brad Pitt plays a homegrown terrorist in 2 movies in the 90s? Maybe more, but definitely Fight Club in this.
Well, I mean...
Also, is it overstepping for him to go, hey, like Vertigo? You know that movie Vertigo?
I know, right?
Is that... Calm down, Terry. Calm down.
And then
I think Terry got a taste of Hollywood because Terry's always making these movies and he's like, I don't care. And then he gets to make a big Hollywood movie with Bruce Willis and he's like, I'm going to put the Hitchcock thing in there.
Well, but the thing is, okay, fine. Put a thing in your movie for Hitchcock. Put a clip from the movie. Fine. But then they're watching it and Bruce Willis actually says, hey, it's kind of like us. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You're not even. We get it.
You mean
we
like
already got
him
it.
leaving the theater and then having like a whole like minute-long scene where Madeline Stowe is a Hitchcock blonde, like,
yes,
and we spend a lot of time. Like,
I know
that wouldn't have done it.
I know.
Yeah,
I think we would have gotten it anyways. You know?
And during the film, Madeline Stowe talks about how, you know, we'll know everything's fine if it's still all football games and traffic jams, and she didn't know. She didn't know what she was asking for. I didn't know that I would want what she's asking for.
I know.
25 years later, but here we are.
Yeah, I know. It did feel kind of weird, like, watching this, you know, during the pandemic. I have to say I haven't really sought out, like, virus-related films.
Well, you can watch the 12 Monkeys TV show.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they did that, and I'm sure they'll reboot this someday. I guess I'd recommend it. Like I said, still not my favorite movie, but I think there is a lot there. I don't know how if you don't look at it too closely, I think it hangs together okay.
It's a little, they did a lot of, there was a
couple.
Trying to get out of this. I know.
Final thought.
There were a couple of, like, fake outs. Like, he like, goes to her in the woods. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to do this. Yeah. And then we hear about a body being found in the woods. I was like, he didn't kill her, did he?
Yeah, I don't know if they were necessary, but I think that, you know, he's got a lot of plates, and some of the plates are more important than others. Yeah. And so, like, he breaks those plates, so you forget about the other plate that's spinning, which is, like, this thing where we really should know. You know, the finale of the movie is not going to be a surprise, and so he's got other things that kind of make you feel like you were tricked, or like, I didn't. So you kind of forget about that thing that we know that we're going to. It's distraction,
right? I get it.
But he didn't have a magician character, so that's good. That would have been too far.
That would have been too far.
Let's move on to the other zoo. My pick for this week was 1966's Funeral in Berlin. Mm-hmm. Berlin, the Ewig Junge Stadt. Yes. And it stars, of course, Michael Caine. It is a sequel of sorts to The Ipcress File, starring... Do you need help?
It's a sequel to The Ipcress File?
Well, it features Harry Palmer. It's a continuation.
Gosh, why did I, like, not... I was like, Harry Palmer sounds so familiar. I didn't get that. I watched that whole...
She doesn't get it.
I watched that whole film. And I was like, what... Okay.
Yeah, there's
I'm an idiot.
There's 4 of these. No, there's 5. There's 5 Harry Palmer films.
Did he know the?
And it's fun. You can do it when, you know, it's the mid '60s, right? Dr. No did pretty good. From Russia with Love did pretty good. Seems like this is going to be a thing. Yeah. But nobody really knew. You know, there's. I guess later in the 60s, there's James Coburn is playing Flint, and there's a lot of 60s spy films. Yeah. But Bond took off, and Palmer didn't. So nobody really cared about... This is my theory. Nobody really cared about the franchise, the license, or whatever, and so nobody's, like, fighting over it. And so every once in a while, somebody goes, should we make another one of those films? And then you just, it's a slightly older Harry Palmer. He's in a different part in his life, and it's a nice little series.
Have they all been with Michael Caine?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Hello,
everyone. I like that.
I'm Michael Caine.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's time to do another Harry Palmer film.
Yeah. I mean, what do you even call him? Ipcress File film? No.
It's a Harry Palmer film.
Harry Palmer film. Yeah. Okay. I guess synopsis. Huh?
And just to remind people, Harry Palmer is, as we see in Ipcress File, is a former thief who basically gets busted. But on this big job that we never really get the details of, but it doesn't matter because British intelligence goes, well, you could rot in
in jail,
whatever their prison is, for the rest of your life, or you could come work for the British government. So he's doing that kind of at his own behest. Mm-hmm. In the Ipcress File, he's tasked with finding out what's behind this Ipcress File. It turns out it's a 60s spy movie kind of way. It's a brainwashing program, a Manchurian candidate type program,
Yeah.
which he's eventually subjected to, but he's able to solve the case and not kill his boss, who is in this one, and I believe plays him in some of the other ones too. But anyway, and so now he's just Terry Palmer again.
Yeah.
And it's your job.
Oh, it's my job. Jeebus. He gets sent to Berlin. He doesn't even have a passport. I was like, what? Anyways, and it is Berlin when it's been it's in the 60s? Is it in the 60s?
Pause.
This is really going well.
You made it. Yeah, you made it clear to me when we were watching it that we were going to have to do a little Berlin history lesson.
Yeah, sorry.
So, after the end of World War II,
yes,
Berlin and Germany was in shambles.
Correct.
And you've
that much I understand.
You've got the Western powers, and you've got the Soviet Union. Right. And as the capital of Berlin, it's a very important city.
Yes.
They divided it 4 ways. So
4 ways,
both for political control, but also to sort of clean up the mess you made. America, England, or Britain, France, and the Soviet Union all got a part of Berlin.
I didn't realize
4 parts of Berlin.
4 parts.
Right.
Okay.
Now, who knows? In an alternate universe, maybe that would just have continued for a while, and there would have been a different kind of flavor. This part of Berlin tastes like butter. But basically what happened was the Soviet Union immediately tried to, basically put, communist, Soviet communist principles onto it. Did the whole Soviet thing.
Yes.
And then so the other 3 basically just joined up and went, okay, well, this is West Berlin and this is East Berlin.
Oh, okay.
And tensions.
So East Berlin is not like half of the city; it's like a quarter of the city.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
And tensions mounted to the point where, there was the Berlin airlift because the East German government, which is a puppet state of the USSR,
right,
was trying to stamp out, political freedom and all that and do that whole thing. So there was a blockade. And then eventually in 1961, they just went, all right, everyone. Michael Caine's not going to come over here.
Yeah.
And they took this area where the Berlin Wall would eventually be and just emptied all the buildings. In the places where there were roads and stuff like that, they built, walls, checkpoints, and that became the Berlin Wall in 1961. And so you couldn't cross to East Berlin under penalty of death or the other way back.
Right.
And that lasted until 1989.
Okay.
When the Berlin Wall came down.
This is in the 60s. Right.
Well, this movie's set in 1966.
Yeah. Okay.
At the height of the Cold War, or at least the height of the espionage part of the Cold War.
Correct.
Yes.
So, he has to go into Berlin. Does he even know what he's doing? Oh, right. There's a USSR military guy, a general, Russian general, who supposedly wants to defect to the U.S. and
to Britain.
Oh, to Britain, right? Sorry, I don't know why I said the U.S.
He doesn't like the U.S.
Yes, that's right.
Because he feels
made a huge point about that.
Yeah.
But Palmer's not really sure about this. But he goes there and he meets up. I am terrible with names in this.
We're going to get through it together.
He meets up with another guy Vulcan, who works for British intelligence.
I think. Yeah, he might be,
or at least affiliated.
Yeah, he's affiliated. I don't know if he's like a West Germany government official, because remember there's West and East Germany as well as West and East Berlin.
Sure, right.
So yeah, I think he's West German intelligence, but basically is rented out to MI5.
And they clearly know each other, and basically he helps get Palmer in touch with the general
General Stock,
and who's kind of,
or Colonel Stock. I don't think he's a general.
Oh, Colonel. Sorry, I said general. He's kind of a goofball. He has Palmer arrested, and there's this huge deal and brought to his place. And he's like, "Oh, I just had to scare you." And it's like,
well, he can't be seen talking to a British intelligence.
I know.
Because he wants to defect.
Right. Exactly. But it basically, things are not what they seem. There's a lot of double, triple crosses. Later on so Palmer is going to try to help him defect to Britain, but in order to do that, they need to bring him over to West Berlin first. So they're going to set a plan in motion. So he hires this one guy who was the guy from Willy Wonka.
Slugworth.
Yeah. And his team to sneak him over.
Yes.
But he also meets this gorgeous woman at this party, and it's a big deal that she picked him up. That's a big deal. It wasn't the other way around.
Well, he's not going to say no.
I know.
But so he spends the night with this woman. Her name is Samantha Steele. So it's like, calm down.
Yeah.
So you're not Ian Fleming.
Yeah.
These books are written by Len Dayton, not Ian Fleming. But I'm sure they got more Bondy as the years went on.
Probably.
And and so he spends the night with her, but then he immediately goes to his. Does he go to? He goes to the. Oh yeah, he keeps talking to the chief of German police in Berlin.
Yeah.
Who I guess he knows, and so he goes to him and he's like, "Am I like? Do I have sex appeal?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about," because he's trying to figure out like why this girl picked him up. He's like, "Well, I'm thinking this is a honeypot situation."
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna eat the honey, but
right.
but I need you to like check this person out for me.
Right.
And it's funny because the police guy, he's not going to get the police to work for him. He keeps going to the police guy and he goes, "That safecracker, what's his name? Johnson or whatever. Is he still alive?
Yeah,
is he out of jail?" And he's like, and eventually he wants to use him to like break into the girl's house and search her place.
Yeah.
And so, eventually the chief of police is like, "I'm not like your employment agency. Stop trying to like come and recruit criminals from me."
I know. He like begrudgingly like helps him. But yeah, she turns out, she.
Well, let's not ruin too much of the film because I don't think people have seen it.
All right.
I think
she's involved.
Well, we can. Plot. I think we can say that it turns out that she is a Mossad agent.
Yeah. And well, I wasn't sure how much you wanted to say. So.
Yes, and she is part of a cell of Nazi hunters, basically, who are in Berlin looking to follow up. Not necessarily.
They have a list of names.
Yes, they have a list of names, and it isn't necessarily that they want to capture these guys. Their list of names are former Nazi officials or officers who have money in Swiss banks, and if they can get enough information, like a dossier on these guys, they can roll into a Swiss bank and claim that money for Israel.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that complicates things. That puts the pot in the honey because at this point it's too much honey. We need more pot.
Oh my gosh.
And so she's not antagonistic to Harry, but she is about her mission.
Very much so.
And the problem is that Harry has to. Sorry that I took over the.
I don't care.
It's complicated.
It is complicated.
Harry goes back to British intelligence, and they need to get a fake papers for this Russian general that they're going to sneak out.
Yes.
And so he gets these papers, and it's the papers belong to a formerly deceased person called John Louis Brown. And so he's like, "That's fine." He gets the papers and everything, and then he goes back. And he gets a copy of. He had a safecracker photograph her diary from her safe when he was in there, and he sees that name on her list of people, and he's like, "Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's
that's
weird.
not. It's three somewhat common names, but altogether, what's going on here exactly?"
Right.
And hijinks continue to ensue.
Yes.
Did you like it?
Yes, I don't think I liked it as much as I liked the Ipcris file.
Yeah.
I feel like parts, like, it started off, I feel like, really strong, right? And there are a lot of, Michael Caine gets a lot of really great jokes in, especially at the beginning. But there's some more as the film goes on. There are parts of it that I think are really funny. I did feel like it lagged in a couple of spots, and I also kind of felt like sometimes I was kind of confused as to what was going on.
Well, good spy films should do that.
Yeah, I suppose. But
for me, it's like there's the trilogy or the trinity of Harry Palmer, Roscoe Flint, I can't remember Flint's first name, and James Bond. And James Bond is about the gadgets and the gear, the Bollinger, the Aston Martin, and
the girls.
Yeah. And Flint is about the swinging 60s, turtleneck, male symbol. I've trained with fake gears to stop my heart, goofy out there spy stuff. And then Harry Palmer is the tradecraft, he's a East London bloke, thrown in with these spies and, kind of gritty sort of ear to the ground type stuff. And then you could throw in Jean Le Carré novels as well. That's like the real spy tradecraft type stuff, political stuff. And I mean, like, it all pays off because he plays Nigel Powers in Austin Powers 3.
Yes.
And I think
in the Kingsman's, what is it called?
I don't care. Oh, okay. And and that's where Austin gets his glasses from, and his mojo.
Oh, that makes sense.
So
sure, right,
so like mojo. So Austin Powers is those three people put together basically, and then really bad teeth, because I don't think anybody has as bad a teeth as Austin Powers does.
No.
And I think that all works, but the first movie was made, earlier. It was made in 65. I guess it's only a year before, but it was more of both of those things. It was more. This is just it's a straightforward, solid political spy film.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
but I felt like Ipcress File was both weirder.
Yes,
and more like British 60s crime film as well, like a Get Carter, like Kane's other films, in the genre, because the whole thing about Palmer is that he doesn't do all this stuff. They bring him in
about how he doesn't want to kill people.
Well, it's not just that. In the Ipcress File, they bring him in, and he's their secret hideout is in a printing office or whatever, and they're giving briefings, and they're like, all right, number 5, you're going to do this today. And Harry's, reading the paper throughout the whole thing, and they tell him to do something, and the first thing he does, tail this guy, and the first thing he does is he just goes up and beats up the guy's bodyguard and is like, so what's up? What's your plan? His whole thing is he's a blunt instrument. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't do that in this. And maybe he's learning to do his trade better, but he's much more of a spy in this.
Yes.
And I kind of liked when he was just beating people up before.
I did too, because it was different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not something that Bond would do. And
well, Bond does that too, though.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't he would do that later on in the film. He wouldn't do it early and just beat the bodyguard up and be like, no, really, tell me exactly what's going on, No, you're going to disagree with me? Okay.
In Die Another Day, he literally just... in Die Another Day, he gets... This is not a good example for what Bond does, but in Die Another Day, he spends 18 months in a North Korean hellhole, and then he gets fired, basically, because he can't be a 00 anymore, because if you spend 18 months in a North Korean prison, it doesn't matter if you tell us that they didn't break you. We can't trust that they didn't break you. So basically, you're off the list. You just can't be a spy anymore. Mm-hmm. But he wants back in the game. So the first thing he does is he goes to a hotel that he knows is owned by the Chinese and, provokes them into attacking him. So the Chinese, section head or the guy who runs the hotel will show up, and then he's like, look, yeah, I know I'm not a spy anymore, but I need back into the game, so I'm going to use your resources because you owe me, because I'm James Bond and I've saved everybody's life at least once.
Sure, right.
Yeah, I mean, he does that. Sure. He does the wrong thing because it's the right thing sometimes.
Yeah, that's true, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. This is, I would like to go on to see the third one, which is called The $1 Billion Brain, and see if this is a station in Harry's development as, an officer. It's, I can't remember the name of the character now. That's really bad.
Harry Palmer?
No.
Who are you talking about?
In Tinker Tailor.
Oh, gosh. I have no idea. Sorry. Yeah.
Smiley. Smiley. George Smiley.
Sure. Right.
George Smiley does the same thing in the Le Carré books, because he starts off as just a kind of agent, and then he ends up in charge of the Circle, the Ring of Spies, or their office,
right?
in British intelligence. And so if this is like a step on the ladder of that, then it's like, okay, that makes sense. Because we see that in this movie, we see that like he's given an opportunity to kill this guy who sold them out, but he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a bad decision.
Right.
I mean, it's maybe the right decision, but it's bad because that guy then goes on and continues to make a lot of trouble. And I wonder if, like, in the third, like, a later Harry Palmer wouldn't have made that decision. He'd be like, well, this guy's got to go.
Maybe he's learned from his mistake.
Right. But these films, unlike James Bond and Flint, are so unemotional. They're so, like, low temperature, cool temperature.
Yeah.
That I can't tell. It must be nice for Michael Caine to go, oh, another Palmer film. These are terrible accents. It's nice to not act. I'll just put on my more glasses.
Yeah, wow.
And go, Which is funny because, you know, Michael Caine is like literally the guy that did the video on acting. You know?
I know.
But it's like, when you're in your film, put on your glasses and your mouth. Make sure straight line. No expression.
Well, even
and you go,
like,
well, guess I've been to a funeral in Berlin.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And you turn and walk away. You walk away.
And then, like, even, like, the sense of humor is, like, so wry. And, like, you know, so, yeah.
I like that it was pretty even-handed with its politics. Because even at the end, well, let's just say at the end, some people that they trusted turned out, you know, were not to be trusted. And yet he meets some of these people at the end, and they're like, well, you got one over on us, you know, and they're like, well, you know, maybe next time. And usually you'd think like, oh, the other side, you know, the Eastern Bloc has to be the worst and they're all terrible people. And it's more just like, it's just a game. We're just playing a game.
I know.
You know, it's just, we both have ideologies. The Russians even get some good hits in on the Americans because, like, you know, the Colonel Stock is like, the Americans are just, you know, they're just like the Soviets. They're just selling something else. Like their communism is capitalism. It's like for 66, that's pretty even-handed.
Yeah, I know. I have a question. Yeah. So I don't know if we want to talk about this.
Well, maybe we'll do. Okay, so we got like maybe 5 minutes left to the end of the show. So maybe we'll do a spoiler talk. Spoiler talk comes here. So just, you know, turn us off if you don't want to be spoiled. I would definitely recommend this film, like I'd recommend Ipcris File.
Yeah, watch Ipcris File first.
Goodbye.
I would say.
Goodbye.
If you don't want to be spoiled.
All right, let's talk about them now that they're gone.
All right.
Oh, have you seen what they were wearing?
Oh my God, I think I think they had something in between their teeth. Anyways, I don't know. My question is, why do you? So we got a bit. You have something you want to say, and I have to force a bit in, and then I'm doing it right now. And then you enjoy the bit. You kind of half-assedly try to add something to the bit. Then you laugh at it yourself nervously. Then you go, no. Because
then you see
reaction.
Then you see my face.
That's
and
why
then you
I
give
said
a
no.
big long nervous laugh. And all that ate up 45 seconds when you could either not say anything or do a better bit or do a bad bit but throw it away and just continue. Actually, do the third one. That's what you should do.
Do a bad bit and throw it away? How do you do that?
You just go, oh, I got something in your teeth. And then, so anyway, and then the guy did this because it's all, the clock is always running. It's like Beth Harmon. That chess clock's always running.
All right, Beth Harmon. So
Beth Harmon's my spirit animal.
Okay.
I'm going to get my fringe cut like that.
Okay.
Talk!
I'm trying! For the funeral bit, they switch cars, and...
Yeah, they had to rehearse it a couple times.
Yeah. I didn't get that the first time you told it.
All right, come on.
But what? Like, the boss guy who was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was dead and inside the coffin. So what happened?
So Schweigert hot dogs. Schweigert hot dogs was the head of this team that gets people over the wall.
Yes.
And they are mercenaries, but apparently he was worse. Like he was. So the Russians want to plug this hole. They played British intelligence because they want to kill the leader of the ring of guys that smuggle people because they don't want people smuggled. But also, Stock. I don't think we should feel too bad because he's Slugworth number one. Mm-hmm. But number two, actually, Slugworth turned out to be a nice guy. So at the end of Willy Wonka,
yeah.
But number two, Stock does say that he's another fascist. So I assume that he's just another Nazi who got a new job after the war ended.
Yeah.
Just like Brown, as we find out.
Right.
So that's why it's like, okay, so in the books, this one goes down as an L for British intelligence, but we see Schweigert, not his name. We see them murder an old. That's how they do. That's how they work. That's their business. They murder an old man.
Yes.
And so, why do they have to murder the old man?
Because they have to have like a body for the funeral.
I guess he lived in
East Berlin.
East Berlin.
Yes.
And his family was in West Berlin, so they pretend to be his family.
Yeah. See, they pretend to be his family.
But they already have the fake
family.
Brown papers.
I know.
That part was a little... Anyway, all right, so that was soft. That part was soft. Here's what wasn't soft. So you can't control... I think they were filming in actually, they weren't... Yeah, they were filming in Berlin. I doubt they were filming in East Berlin all
Probably
that much.
Not.
But they were filming in West Berlin near the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That must have made the GDP people real excited.
The what people?
The people's... I can't remember the name.
Okay.
The East German people.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Well, a lot of lights over there by the wall. You can control the actors, but you can't control the environment in the burned out buildings. And there's graffiti, and some of the graffiti said "Suche Schwanz,"
which is what?
Don't Google it. Don't Google it.
I won't.
But it is. You can figure out what it is, or Google it for some fun.
What?
I like the fact that
is it a swear?
I thought it was cool that because most of it didn't surprise me. I kind of figured that the girl was working for somebody.
Yeah, right.
But what surprised me was having Holland be in on it. The Q guy.
Yeah, I know, right.
And it was like, oh, that's so he laundered the documents because the whole point is he gave the documents of this dead guy to Palmer, and Palmer's like, it's weird that it's the same name, but maybe it doesn't matter. But that was Brown's identity, and there was no way to get those documents out except to give it to Harry to just bring to East Berlin.
Right.
So he basically laundered that guy's identity, and it's like, oh, that's a good. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. No, that was a nice touch.
And then he got what was coming to him.
I know. Yeah. Well, and then like I did kind of like
final thought
the end bit to
30 seconds
where like it's like Palmer and Brown like switch coats, and Sam thinks she sees Palmer, and she's like they call out to him at first, and then they're just like shoot him, and it turns out it's Brown, and it's like
and Harry doesn't have any blood on his hands.
Yeah, I know.
Metaphorically, I guess.
I know, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So
got somebody to do it for him.
Yep.
Still got what he wanted.
The guy's still
Here's
dead.
some Star Trek music because I forgot to cue up the right track. Enjoy. We'll be back next week.